freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your round one recap for this week's Sentry Tournament of Champions. Joining me to break it all down, it's him. I got him. Kyle Porter, KP. Hey, bud.
We got him.
We got him.
Great first day. We were just briefly discussing that before we came on, but it was just this tournament's always fun, and by the end of the previous year, you're kind of worn down by the golf. And this provides a nice little jolt for the new year. So I had a blast watching. I know we have a lot to talk about. We can jump into it.
Yeah, great field, great views, prime time, and lots of scoring. The scoring average on the day, let me get the most up-to-date number here, nearly 5 shots under par, Kyle. So it's a par 73, which means if you shot a 69, 4 under, you had a bad day.
Well, and I thought you had a great tweet about this. It was the Morikawa shoot. He shot 64,
right?
Which I think was his best round ever.
His best opening round ever. Yes, they defined it as his best opening round ever, right?
But the reality is that he only gained 4 strokes on the field,
right?
And that tells a better story, right? Like that tells the story of what's actually happening. And yeah, I mean, I think we get so wound up. I don't want to get into a philosophical thing, but we get so wound up with the par stuff, especially at this golf course. I remember last year, like all the fallout from the Rahm and Cam Smith thing. And it's like, well, it's really we're just talking about who's better compared to one another. And that's what we need to be discussing. And obviously Morikawa and JJ Spawn and John Rahm were at the top of that list. But this course played, I think, kind of how it plays, right? It didn't seem extraordinarily easy compared to how it normally plays.
No, there's opportunities out there. You could take advantage of the 5s. There's a lot of wedges into these greens, and there's only 3 par 3s, which people like. If you make a 3 on every par 3 on the PGA Tour, like you're doing a great job. That's where a lot of these guys give strokes back. And the fact that you remove one of them already makes it like an easier golf course. Just the composition is just a little bit different. But no, I didn't think it was overly soft, overly easy, anything like that. It's just that's how this golf course plays.
Yeah. And I was struck by, it's interesting watching. It's a fun tournament to watch because you get to see a lot of different types of shots that you don't get at we'll get to that. Mark's talking about the putts that Spieth missed that you don't get at like the 3M or the Rocket Mortgage, right? You get these kind of swoopy draws and these like big fades, and I think the cool part about it, Rick, is the way a lot of these greens receive those shots is awesome to watch, because some of the greens will reject them, right? We see these kind of false fronts or big shelves that I can't remember. Somebody, I think it was Hideki, came up really short on one of them, or Scheffler or somebody. I mean, a ton of guys throughout the day. But some of the greens will almost like feed the ball back to the hole. Like 18 is a good example. There's one on earlier in the round, I can't remember which hole it is, that you can kind of go past the hole and it'll bring it back. And right. I just, that's so fun to watch. Like I love that about this golf course.
You mentioned it, a trio at the top: JJ Spawn, John Rahm, Collin Morikawa, all 64s. They were kind of spread out. Morikawa went out early. John Rahm was in kind of the penultimate group, and JJ Spawn was kind of there in the middle. Let's start with Collin, who you and I have been talking about a lot this offseason. There's this weird, I don't even want to say it's a narrative, this discussion that Morikawa had this bad year and everyone's kind of concerned about him coming up. And I believe you and I are like, watch out, it's about to be special.
Yeah, no, I think the word that I used about it was very angsty. Like there was a lot of angst about, and honestly, Ricky, a lot of it emanated from Morikawa. Like he yes. They said this on the broadcast, right? They said Morikawa talked about what a weird year 2022 was. And if you look at his numbers, I mean, I pulled this from, I don't know what your numbers say about it. There's a bunch of different windows and like ways to do this, but if you look at his data golf numbers for the 2020-2021 season versus the 2021-2022 PGA Tour season, including the European Tour. There's a bunch of stuff in there. Regardless, they're the exact same. He gained 1.41 strokes in 2020, 2021. He gained 1.41 in 2021, 2022. Now, he kind of got there a different way, and his like median rounds weren't as good, but his good stuff was just as good as it was the year before. They're just, I don't know, man. Like I almost feel like he went to being like really underrated coming into this year, which if you're betting or you're thinking about major championships, I think provides a ton of opportunity.
Gained a stroke and 3/4 on the putting surfaces, a stroke on approach. He gained across the board. Everything was beautiful. The round highlighted by the 6 consecutive, was it 6? Yeah, 6 consecutive birdies he made from 10 through 15, added another one on at 18. This was, it was, I mean, the back nine was absolutely flawless, and it was kind of vintage Colin.
Yeah, it was. And, you know, I mean, his whole deal, right, is for the most part, if he's putting well, it's going to be lights out. Yeah. And I'm excited. I'm excited that he's in the mix. I'm excited about the kind of year that he could have. I think I like it when he's playing well. And, you know, I think it's interesting because somebody pointed out to me on Twitter, like if you're putting together these 1.4 strokes gain seasons, like 1.4 strokes gains per round, it doesn't scream like 2 or 3 wins, right? It's a good number, but it's not a Cantlay JT type number. But the thing about Morikawa, and I think this is what makes him unique, is that his ceiling is really high and his floor is pretty low.
Right.
And so he kind of exists on these like each end of the spectrum. He'll have kind of a bad week and miss a cut, and then he'll have a great week and win the tournament. And that's where you want to exist. Like he's a top 5 guy when it comes to whose stuff is the best, just from a strokes gain perspective. I'm not talking about like, you know, who hits the purest shots or who drives it the farthest. Just from a strokes gain perspective, he's in that top of the class. And we might be looking at that type of week from him this week in the same way that we saw from Cam Smith and Rahm last year.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of -2 rounds, but a bunch of +5 rounds. And when you average it all up, it's a lot of it's 1.6 is what it is.
Which is way better than being just
right.
all 1.4s or 1.6s.
Right, exactly. JJ Spawn, quick, what event did he win to get in?
Texas Open?
Valero, Texas Open. That's right. His only PGA Tour victory. I don't have much to say here. It was a bogey-free 64. It was splendid. He gained strokes across the board, but admittedly, when you do a podcast and the other 2 guys that JJ is the first-round leader with are Collin Morikawa and Jon Rahm, he is probably not going to get much oxygen here.
I'll say this. If JJ Spawn if he rolls with Morikawa and Rahm for the rest of the week and beats them, he should get in the next 3 Tournament of Champions, not just 2024.
Jon Rahm just finished. We actually waited until kind of his final putt drop before we came on air here. There was a bogey on 14 where he got a little bit unlucky where his ball lied. He then bounces back with a birdie on 15, another on 16, and then of course gets one on 18. And Rahm, I might only be through 17 holes. I'll have to update this, but he gained nearly 4 strokes putting, which he has been lights out with the flat stick after the Tour Championship. Even at the final stretch of 2022, he's just putted much, much better.
Yeah, he has. And I mean, he's so good, man. I tweeted this, but like every first week of the year, I'm like, Rahm's going to win like 5 times this year, you know? And he never does, because winning 5 times is so hard, but he just keeps coming, you know. He's relentless. And I think that he's really good, and we don't talk about this a lot with him, but he's really good at having that mentality of like the last hole, like he just moves on. I don't know what his bounce back numbers are, but I have to think they're among the best on the PGA Tour. He just moves on, makes birdie at the next hole, and he just keeps going. And I think he's going to win this golf tournament. He was my one and done pick. He's been so good over the last 3 months, and it's hard to translate that when you get the big break in December, and it's just kind of, there's no like continuity there. But he's playing really good golf, and he hit a lot of bombs today, and that's probably not going to continue. But he also hit the ball really well. I mean, that drive he hit on 18 was insane.
Oh my God, it was the longest drive of the day, and just set him up for
easy birdie.
Exactly, easy birdie, which is what you want to get there. Give yourself maybe an outside chance of making eagle, but make sure you get yourself an easy birdie. The rest of this leaderboard, I mean, there's a log jam at 7 under. Hughes, Hoagie, Wise, Sungjae, Scheffler, who I want to talk about in a second, Matt Fitzpatrick, who just finished. But the guy in solo 4th is this will be the year of Tom Kim, right, Kyle? I mean, he's already got 2 wins in his last 7 starts, and he's just stealing the hearts of everyone. He is just, he holes out on, what was that? Was it 15 he holed out on? No, it was 6.
No, it was early. Yeah.
6. The one bounce and drop, and then he turns and says, "Did you get that on camera?"
Yeah,
which is just so lovable.
He really is, and I hope that I'm a little bit. I'm not down on Tom Kim. I'm just a little skeptical of kind of where he's at. What is he in the world golf rankings? Like 13 or 14?
Or flew up. I'll find out.
I'm a little bit skeptical of it, because if you look at it, this is hard because he's 20, right? So we've seen guys make like real leaps in their early 20s. Sam Burns comes to mind. Even Hovland, some of the stuff he's done with the short game. What do we got here?
Yeah, so he's 15th in the world.
Okay, 15th in the world. Yeah, I want to be wrong about like my long-term projection for him. And I hope he wins this week, and I hope he wins 2 majors this year, because he's fun as hell to cover. I just am a little I don't know if our love and everybody's excitement about him actually matches what his game is. I don't know. Do you disagree with that?
It's such a small sample. So yes, he is universally loved, and right, it's hard in like fantasy, it's hard in like betting, and it's hard. He's gonna have unrealistic expectations because of how loved he is. But look at these approach numbers. So since the, what is this, 3M Open, plus 3.5, plus 6, plus 3.8, plus 5, plus 4, plus 5.8, plus 4.6. I mean,
yeah, and I think the counter to what I'm saying is like, okay, he's won these sort of like bad events, but then when he goes out and does it at the Tournament of Champions, what do you say then? Oh, well, you got to do it at the majors? No, I mean, like if you're doing it, this is a big boy event. Like this is big time, and if you're going out and finishing in the top 2, 3, 4 to start off the season here, I think that he has a little bit of that electricity that I thought Matt Wolff had. And there's something there that like the numbers don't really explain, like there's something about him, and I don't know how it's going to play out. I'm excited to find out. I hope he wins 30 times in his career, because again, like he's a great character, a great personality. I'm not like all the way in on him yet.
Fair enough. Still early. Cannot even legally drink alcohol yet. So we got plenty of time. I believe on Tuesday's show, the quote that I had at some point was, when Scotty Scheffler gains a half a stroke putting, he's going to win the golf tournament. And I stand by that. First in tee to green today, lost a stroke and a half with the putter, the 6th worst putter in the field, the best from tee to green. He didn't have, I don't think he made a putt over 8 feet, and he shot a 7 under 66.
Yeah, I didn't see his numbers, but it's good to hear that, because when I was watching, just anecdotally, it was like, this does not look very good with the putter. I didn't see every putt that he hit every hole, but I mean, he was just missing some putts that it was like not close. He had one hole, he pushed a putt from like, I don't know, 12 feet, and it was just like nowhere. It had no chance, which is kind of rare for a player of his caliber to sort of be putting like that. So I don't know what's going on there, but his floor is high, right? Like his floor is really, really high, which is sort of what you're saying. And I think that as long as he keeps hitting the ball like he is, he's going to be competitive. I just don't know if he's going to win.
The other weird thing was he switched putters for like 3 rounds. That didn't work. And he immediately went back to the blade, which it feels desperate. Like he's trying a lot of different things and it's still not working, which makes me a little bit concerned that it's not coming back anytime soon. But, I mean, he still has great results in the midst of this horrible, horrible slump.
Yeah. And I think that some of that is just the ups and downs of tour life, right? Like where you just have 6 months where you just don't putt well, like everybody's gone through that. I mean, there aren't a lot of guys. There are very few guys that consistently putt great. And this just might be like a kind of down. I haven't looked at his like 6-month numbers. I don't think they're very good. But this might just be like kind of a down period of time for him with the putter.
Let's jump into some notables here. T11, 6 under 66, Jordan Spieth. And we're getting the full Spieth experience, right? He missed an 18-incher. He flopped one higher in the air than the distance of the shot.
Yeah.
Which went in the hole.
Yep.
And then he fist bumped 2 fans behind the green who he could hear betting
Gambling.
whether he was going to make the putt or not.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it was the whole. I mean, if this round is emblematic of his year, and it is, right, because this is just what he is, then I can't wait. I mean, he what did he shoot? What did he end up? 67? Okay,
yeah. He's 3 back.
Yeah, that's good. That's great. Good. It's a good start. The shot, the par, and of course it was for par on, what was it, 16, I think. That's the flop shot. Yes. Have you ever tried to, anybody listening, have you ever tried to take a full swing from 30 feet? You have no chance of making that.
No.
I mean, Dylan DeChair, I think he said it well. He's like, if you take that swing, you're either hitting at 4 inches or 115 yards.
I always hit it 115 yards. I just smack it right in the forehead.
Like you have to take a full swing from 30, I think it was 33 feet was what he hold out from.
Yep.
You have you can't do that with any club on any serve. You have no chance. And he made it. It was
why
absurd.
Did he go so high? Right? Couldn't he have just dumped it 3 inches onto the green? I mean, he looked like he had a great lie. Couldn't he have just dumped it 3 inches onto the green? There was nothing to go over. He could have landed it on the fringe and got the same result. Instead, he went straight vertical.
It does seem a lot more difficult to like to pick the right landing zone and have it sort of roll out like it did than if you just like you're basically just trying to get up and down and make 5.
Right.
But he made 4, which is what makes him Jordan Spieth. That's why the FDA hasn't approved it yet.
That's right, and will probably never.
No.
Couple other notables. Will Zalatoris back for the first time since the herniated disc. A 4 under 69, as we talked about. He lost half a shot to the field, something like that. But what I thought was interesting is he has actually made a couple of adjustments to protect the back a little bit. They showed it on the coverage, try to be, quote, more rotational. He's also using a shorter driver. He's standing closer to the golf ball. So he is at least he's much more conscious about the back starting this year than I guess he's been in the past.
Yeah. And he didn't really look like he was swinging. I mean, he was like, he's pretty violent with his swing, a little JT-ish, and he didn't look as violent. I didn't think. I didn't see a ton of him tonight or today, whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, he played well. 69. That's field average.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm intrigued. What is he ranked right now? Like 7 or 8, I think,
in the world.
I'm intrigued. I heard the Shotgun Star Boys talking about this the other day. Like, who in the top 10 is going to fall out of the top 10? Because every year you get this churn, you get this turnover at the top of the world golf rankings. And I think Zalatoris is an interesting candidate. But you can talk yourself, like you look at each individual and you're like, that guy's not falling out of the top 10, and I think that, with Zalatoris, you look at his numbers, he's the best ball striker in the world over the last 12 months. And so if he falls out of the top 10, if he has a bad year, it's probably going to be because of injury. And it's just, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of really, really good, not fluky at all type guys in the top 7, 8, 9, 10 right now. And they're all young. So there's not, Zalatoris injury, yes, but the other guys, you can always get injured, but it doesn't seem like the risk is super high of that happening.
Speaking of injuries, we've kind of been learning about some back pain that Xander Schauffele has been going through over the last couple of months. Todd Lewis was reporting, hey, maybe this ends up, with some MRIs. It's kind of this muscly thing that he's got going on in the back. He was very much like a game time decision today. He went out and shot a 3 under 70. That is 6 shots off the pace. I thought, Kyle, and we didn't see a lot of him. I thought there were a couple swings that looked like they weren't full throttle and that he's kind of playing through it. And maybe that's why he didn't have the best round that we've seen from him.
Yeah, it would have been nice to know you didn't take him for your one and done, did you?
No, I took Cam Young, who also shot a 3 under, and he did it healthy. So,
well, this 3 under is fine. You're good.
I'll be all right. There is a lot of golf left, and there are 63s out there, right? I mean, there are 64s out there
for sure. Yeah, I honestly didn't see a ton of Xander. He was with JT, right?
Yeah, they both shot 70s.
They just seemed kind of stalled out a little bit, and I didn't even know about the back until you just said that. I didn't hear Todd Lewis talking about it. I was kind of in and out a little bit, but yeah, I mean, I just talked about how none of the guys in the top 10 are going to get injured, and now we're talking about Xander Schauffele potentially being injured. So that would be a bummer. I mean, especially I think that he's been super consistent as a top 5, top 10 player, and for him to fall out of that'd be a bummer for him.
Before we go to the betting board and look at the live odds, is there anybody else or anything else that you want to talk about leaderboard wise before we scoot over to the odds?
I don't think so. Fitzy played really well. Mm-hmm. I love him this year. He's just, I don't know if we talked about it on here or on Andy's Andy Lack's podcast, but he's a little Xander and Cantlay-ish. Like, he's just so solid throughout the bag. Like, he don't really have a weakness anymore now that he's upped his speed or his swing speed. It was good to see Sahith play well. Let's see here.
Hideki played well. That was nice to see.
Yeah.
Hideki will probably be the favorite next week, going back for a title defense, as long as he plays well enough this week. And I don't know what that field's going to look like next week, but you could have a situation where Hideki's the favorite next week.
Yeah. Billy Horschel, 76. That's weird.
The only guy over par.
I didn't know Aaron Wise was even in the field. I didn't see a single shot of his.
How dare you?
No, I'm big on Aaron Wise. I literally didn't see him hit a shot tonight.
Yeah, there was a tight group that we saw.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's it.
That's
I said this. Why is there? I was trying to look up how Adam Scott's career wins compared to like PGA Tour history.
Yeah,
I can't find like the. Why can I not do that? Why can I not look that up?
Do you want my real answer of why you can't?
Well, should we take it off the air, or is this like, can we do this publicly?
No, we could do this. I think that there are, I think you are one of very few people who want to see something like that. Now,
really?
Your larger point of like, why is there not a golfreference.com, for example, I think is more interesting and a better question of like, why isn't there just like this giant thing? I think the other problem with that is, once you start going back past 1980, there's not a lot of like full leaderboards.
Yeah.
Except for like major championships. So you would just have like, I mean, if you gave me a couple months, I could put you together a golf reference going back to 1980. But after that, I would just list out winners. You know what I mean? Like there would be really nothing to have before that.
Yeah. You could do probably, and you probably only would do like major, you could do major strokes gained, right? Because that's just math. Like you could put that together. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it because like your site and Data Golf are very future facing, right? Where it's a lot of projecting, it's a lot of, which is great. Like I that's interesting, but we don't have a lot of like historical, even like Ryder Cup records. You gotta go to like 8 sites to figure out what JT's Ryder Cup record is.
Yeah, you're right. There should be a spot.
I might make this a personal project this year. I don't have enough going on.
I can, if you and I want to split it, I got the data for you. Well, you tell me how you want it. We'll put it together. All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at the odds board, and then we will try to figure out who's going to win this golf tournament. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. Our friends over at Caesars. Let me show you. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm showing the odds. John Rahm, no surprise. 3-way tie for the lead. Rahm is one of them, plus 240, the favorite to win the Sentry Tournament of Champions. Pretty big gap, though, to Colin Morikawa at 6-1, Scotty Scheffler 8-1, Tom Kim at 12, Sung Jae Im at 14, Tony Finau at 16. Any of these names? Or I think you're sticking with John Rahm here, aren't you?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I lost you. I'm clicking through tabs and now I can't find there we go. Well, what was Rahm to start the tournament? 12, 10?
Probably 10.
I mean, it's not a great number. Plus 240 doesn't. What's Sung Jae at? Is he 7 under?
Sung Jae is at 7. Yeah, he's in that big group at 7.
I'm kind of in. So coming into the year, Rick, I really thought that Sung Jae, I think we talked about this. I think Sung Jae and Cam Young were the guys that it's like these guys are winning this year, just based on their expected wins in the past and what they've done and how little they've won over the last 18 months. And I don't know. Oh, I picked they were my outrights for this week in our First Cut podcast on Tuesday. And that didn't mean Sung Jae is going to win this week, but I feel a little bit like him as I do Rahm, which is like he's going to be there. Like he's just so solid and consistent, and he never goes away. So I think him at 14 is interesting. I don't like Scheffler at all at 8-1.
So let me clean up one thing. Rahm was a little shorter pre-tournament. He was like 7-1.
Okay.
Now plus 240. I like Scheffler. So the two guys that are not named John Rahm. So you can make a case for Scheffler, who is not going to lose 6 strokes putting this week, right? Like we can assume that.
I mean,
maybe we can.
Might. Yeah. I mean, like I think to win this golf tournament, like we saw last year, you're going to have to make 28 birdies. And to do that, you got to make some putts at some point. And I don't have a ton of confidence that Scheffler's going to do that.
Neither do I, but I don't think he can be as bad today or as bad for the rest of the week as he was today. So I think that's interesting. The other one that I think is interesting is Finau. Tony Finau he is 3 back. He did not take advantage of any of the par 5s, right? So when you're looking at this, you're trying to figure out like, what are the paths to getting these guys to the top of the board? Rahm's path is like, just keep playing like John Rahm. He made a lot of putts, but he's been making a lot of putts for a couple of months now. Collins is beat Colin Morikawa and putt decently. Like Scheffler's got to make up strokes. There's paths where he can make up strokes with the putter. Finau has to make up strokes. There's paths where he can make up strokes by taking care of the 5s. I think that if you're trying to chase down, those are 2 guys who at least have a path to try to get there.
Yeah. And I was looking at, so the last 3 years of this event, the winner, the eventual winner was 6 under or better in the first round, all 3 times.
So that is 16 golfers down to Jordan Spieth, Victor Hovland, Sahith, Hideki, and Finau.
So that doesn't necessarily mean that's how it's going to play out, but man, if you think that, 27 or 24 or 28 is going to win it, Xander did it in, I think it was 2019. He shot, I think it was like 1 under in the first round, but he went, I think wasn't that the year he shot 62 in the final round to beat Gary Woodland?
Gary Woodland. Yeah. Gary Woodland's just, walk into victory. I got everything under control here. And then Xander just boat races him at the end.
It was the Atlanta Braves, the Mr. Freeze thing where he gets run down from, that was like what the tournament was.
Xander, Mr. Freeze Schauffele. Yeah.
So I guess all that to say, I think somebody who shot 6, 7, 8, 9 is gonna win this, which is not really going out on a limb, but that does. If you don't think that JJ Spawn is going to do it, if you don't think Mackenzie Hughes has kind of the juice, or Scott Stallings, or maybe Sahith, then it kind of limits your pool that you're picking from a little bit, which I think is helpful. What's Morikawa at? Like 6, 5?
Yeah, I just lost it. I thought he was 6-1, or actually, I think they're rebooting the numbers right now. Here we go, 6-1.
I like that better than Rahm at plus 240.
Yeah, I think that's right. JJ Spawn 25-1. No respect.
I mean, yeah. Like here's the thing though, Rahm gained almost 4 strokes with the putter. You said, and Morikawa was kind of just really good throughout the bag. And so I think there's a case to be made like, hey, Rahm's not going to gain 4 strokes every round. Morikawa is going to, like, he's hitting it better this week. I don't know if that's how it'll play out, but I like Morikawa at 6 better than I like Rahm at 3.
I'll tell you what, there are also, this is going to be good because there are some, again, golf is not played on a spreadsheet, but if it were, there would be a lot of statistical paths. Like Tom Kim lost a quarter of a stroke putting, and we've seen him break the strokes gained putting record, right? Like there are paths. Sung Jae lost strokes putting. He never loses strokes putting, especially on Bermuda. Like there are paths to some of these guys making it real tight. Like this is going to be a good one.
Spieth lost strokes gained putting.
That's almost a trend for him these days.
Lost strokes putting. Yeah, I know. He's a mess. What's his number? What's he at?
Jordan Spieth. Oh boy, this website. Stand by.
Like I'm gonna guess it's like 14.
It is. Here we go. 22.
Wow.
How about that?
That seems a little long. He's 3 back.
He lost strokes on approach. Okay, he holed out from there. I mean, a place that so the thing is, like, when he's in it, right? So, like, he's in it now. And this is a place he's scorched earth before.
Yeah. I will say he doesn't seem like when he's done that, when he's won here or anywhere, a lot of the times, I mean, I know we make fun of the roller coaster thing, but a lot of the times it feels like he's kind of got everything under control, right? Everything's sort of, I mean, it's never completely under control, but he's at least like managing everything. This felt like the Kevin Van Valkenburg, like a clown riding a unicycle down a stairwell, is how I think he described Spieth one time. That's what this felt like, and so I don't love that, but I do love that he's 3 back and he plays great on this golf course. You know, I think that they were talking about this on the broadcast, but just taking, and he's talked about this a million times, taking stock shots out of his hand and giving him some slopes and some wind and some just all the like insane things that those guys have to go through on every shot. Like that's a great thing for him because it gets him out of his own head. And so I kind of like him at 22. I don't know that he's going to win, but I do like that number.
There are some good numbers for chasers because Rahm, the pre-tournament favorite, also hanging the Thursday night favorite as well. I just learned Tom Kim's signs autographs left-handed.
That's a Mickelson move.
And
Mickelson
wears his watch
right-handed.
And wears his watch on his left hand.
I wear my watch on my left hand.
And do you write left-handed?
No.
Right. So do I, because that's what right-handed people do.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Right. So he swings righty, wears his watch on his left, writes on his left.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's weird.
That is weird.
Tough combo. Okay.
Maybe he's just breaking maybe he's a trend maker, taste maker.
based on what I've seen for the last 6 months, I think I agree with that.
Tom Kim's the man. I hope he's just has an awesome year. We need to get him in the Ryder Cup somehow.
I just want to be friends with him. Just want to hang with him. That's all.
He's great because he's so fun, but he's also very composed and level-headed for a 20-year-old. Like, and this annoys me, but there will be some questions sometimes in press conferences that it's like, what are you trying to get at here? And
what answer do you want?
And he just sort of shuts him down. Like he won't engage nonsense, which I think is awesome. Like it's great. So I'm definitely in on him. Just I want to see a full year play out with him being kind of a top guy.
Same time tomorrow night. That's Friday night. We'll be back to discuss round 2. And then, yes, same thing after rounds 3 and 4 the rest of the way. For now, big thanks, producer Troy, doing all the hard work behind the scenes. Kyle Porter, available on Twitter at Kyle Porter CBS. And you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.